Hello, gurus. Welcome to another episode. I'm here with Ben from Bitboy. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing well, getting ready for the holidays and in the middle of crypto winter.
Snowy and the market's dropping, but still Christmas nice. It's like at least cheery. We have this going for the at the time, at this
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. I mean, holidays are fun. I have a good time every year.
I love Christmas. Like I was living in Canada for a year. My favorite Christmas was in Canada during like Thanksgiving, Halloween, Thanksgiving, then the
Yeah.
Christmas holidays. You guys do Canadians and Americans do beautifully. Dubai
Yeah.
doesn't have, I'm in Dubai at the moment, no like it's got Christmas decorations, but no vibe, like no Christmas vibe.
Yeah. That's sad. That sounds
Yeah,
that's like Uncle Scrooge.
yeah, yeah. That's why I'm traveling for Christmas so I can get
There you go.
this Christmas vibe. So my team organized some questions
Mhm.
and they're actually really nice. So like when did you get into crypto? How did it all start for you?
Yeah. So I got into Bitcoin in 2012 and I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't doing it as an investment. Basically, I ran a software that got their payment processors taken, the website taken down. He was a guy in Ukraine, actually. His name's Yuri. He's probably a billionaire now. And he came to us and said, "Hey, I found this thing called Bitcoin that you can pay me in." So I started buying Bitcoin for the purpose of what Satoshi wanted, right? Like to actually be using it as a currency. Of course, now we know Bitcoin's turned into digital gold, and I wish I would have known that back then. So in 2000, I bought first Bitcoin purchase was 2012. I bought, I think it was 37 Bitcoin for $450. I think at the peak of the market it was worth like 3 million. And, but I wasn't keeping it. So I was using it to make the payments. And a year later, I had 6 Bitcoin sitting in my account in November of 2013 when, Bitcoin really started moving. And I checked the account and there was like $1,700 in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, not per Bitcoin, 1,700 total. I
Mhm.
met a guy at localbitcoins.com and we went to McDonald's and over the Wi-Fi. We did this transaction. I took my family on a little vacation to Destin, Florida, and bought some, paid a couple bills and felt really good about that decision. And then in 2014, obviously Mt. Gox crashed and I would have lost it all anyways. So it was good I sold it. But 2015, 2016, just kind of watched Bitcoin a little bit, bought a little bit here, bought a little bit there. It wasn't a focus of mine. Wasn't really trying to get educated on it. 2017 hits and I'm like, holy crap, I should be a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire. And I realized my big mistake. And so that's when I really went all in on crypto and, of course, rode the bull run up, rode the bear market down. Same thing most people do when they get in and started learning about altcoins. And 2018 January, decided to start my channel. It was supposed to be a cartoon series, which is why it's called Bitboy Crypto. It's supposed to be Bitboy and Hodl was the comic book superhero, and then Hodl was his little turtle loyal sidekick companion. Somebody recently reached out to me. They want to turn it into a cartoon series finally, which will be really cool. But I started doing news videos in March of that year, and people started coming on for interviews and calling me Bitboy, and that's kind of how it stuck, and everything occurred. And very very happy with all my decisions. It'd be nice to go back to the beginning and maybe do things a little bit differently. But if I did things differently, I'd probably be rich on an island and I wouldn't be getting to do what I'm doing now, which I really love and enjoy.
Nice. It's funny. I actually was rich on an island, retired, and then met Chris and Carl, and they're like, "Hey, you should," because I was teaching stock investing, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you should make a YouTube channel." And that's it was the reverse.
Yeah. That's funny.
And what do you think with all this, what's happened, Luna, FTX? Do you think the bottom is in? I mean, we talked about it just a bit before, but
Yeah.
what are your opinions about this? I remember you were saying in November, December, you think the market bottom would be in.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, we, for the top of the market, if we go back to November of last year, for 2 years, 2.5 years, actually, I said the top of the market would be between Halloween and Thanksgiving. Now, we said the top of Bitcoin would be in around September, the end of September, and then the overall market would be between Halloween and Thanksgiving. Well, you know, we hit it exactly. We just didn't realize the top of Bitcoin was the top of the market. And so, we were still waiting for Bitcoin to hit 100K and it didn't hit it. And we were like, looking at this time range and we are like, this is exactly when it should be. But I was too dumb to recognize it and go with my instincts and say, okay, well, even though it didn't hit 100K, like this is the time where it should be hitting due to the 4-year cycles. So let's start taking profits. So when it came to the bear market here, I've taken the opposite approach here, and I've trusted what I've said all year long. And all year long, I've said sometime after the midterm elections, sometime between November 28th and December 15th is when we were targeting. November 21st looks like maybe that was the bottom at 15.2 or 15.4, depending on what exchange you look at. And we thought it would go between $10,000 and $14,000. But unlike the last market, we're not obsessed with the number. We're more obsessed with the time range, because Bitcoin 4-year cycles have been very methodical. That they're not exactly the same, but they rhyme, like a lot of people say. And I believe that when you look at the contagion, when you look at FTX and Terra and Celsius and all these things, what you find there's probably about $6 billion worth of Bitcoin that's locked up that can't be sold. And when you deleverage that market cap of Bitcoin, that's a big percentage. So I think if those people had been able to sell, which, I mean, you can make an argument that's a catch-22, chicken and the egg, whatever you want to say here. But if those people had been able to sell, we might have been able to go down to 10 to 14,000. But all that Bitcoin is locked up, and it's going to be locked up for probably at least another year or into the middle of next year, whatever it might be at the earliest. So because of that, I do think the bottom's in. I'm not 100%. I'm not telling everybody definitely it's all in. But like you mentioned before we went on air, like there are some macroeconomic black swans we could see. We could see a war in Ukraine, which I don't think we're going to see. But who knows what we could see? A black swan by nature, you don't know what it is. So we could see something from a macroeconomic perspective that could send Bitcoin down a little bit further. That would be uncharacteristic. I mean, if you go back to the pandemic, that was a black swan that sent Bitcoin not to a new low, but it went down to 3,900, which traditionally throughout the market cycles, we shouldn't have got another gigantic drop right before the halving like we did that time. So there are some uncharacteristic things that can happen, of course. But, I'm pretty confident that the bottom is in and the Bitcoin cycles are going to, once again, turn out to be correct. And everybody that doubts them is going to be wrong and going to be hurting because they didn't put their money in when the money was good.
Mm-hmm. I always like the meat of the move, like this concept of the meat of the move. Like after 70%, 75% correction, okay, it can go down another like 5, 10, maybe 15%,
Yeah.
but the meat of the move has already been in. Same with the top of the bull market. Like, okay, it's gone up like from 3,900 all the way to 69,000. It could go up more, but it's like the majority of the move take the meat. That's in trading.
I like it. I'm a meat eater. I like that. I'm a carnivore.
Yeah, you were eating you're eating during the interview.
Yeah, well, I was eating a bagel just now. Somebody brought us some bagels for work this morning. But I agree. I think that's really smart. And I think, I got killed last year when I was telling people when Bitcoin was around $50,000. I was telling people, look, what I'm telling my personal friends is I'm telling them that, okay, well, if you want to get into crypto and you're not into crypto right now, it's probably better for you not to jump in right now. It's better for you to wait until next year and wait till you have a bear market. And that advice now is looking very genius. But a lot of people were upset when I was saying that last year when it was around $50,000 because same thing you're saying, like the meat of the move had already happened. And so you're really looking at like, okay, maybe you could double your money. Whereas if you wait until the bottom of the bear market, if it gets back to all-time highs now, you've 4x'd your money or, but that's just meeting all-time highs again, or getting back to $60,000. So I think, that's really good advice.
Mm-hmm. And I think like what do you think some of the black swan events could possibly be? Like, in my opinion, we could have like Binance, like some problem with Binance, with the SEC, with the US government, Russia, Ukraine war escalating. There's not that many things. I mean, and black swan event, as you said, it's like unknown. What do you think some other ones could be? Like some danger?
Well, just so everybody understands like where that phrase comes from. A black swan is basically something you can't plan, you can't predict. Like if the Ukraine-Russia war happened or United States got involved, like it's not technically a black swan because we can look in the future and kind of predict that, right? Like to me, Terra Luna and UST and pegging, that was a black swan. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody had any idea that was going to happen. So basically, back in the day when people were, people that lived around swans, they did not know that a black swan existed. All they knew were white swans. Well, black swans do exist. They're just extremely, extremely, extremely rare. So you don't put that into your information database. And when you see one, you're like, what, a black swan? What is that? I had no idea that was in the realm of possibility. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we really look at when we look at black swans. And one thing that just occurred that I would point to, that I would say, it's not really surprising, but it could lead to something similar. We can look back at this moment as kind of the beginning of that black swan, is the SEC charges against Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, because in there subtly they say FTT is a security. Now, I do believe I have a bill in Congress, and we're trying to take the power away from the SEC because they're overreaching like crazy. But if all exchange coins, Huobi token, CRO, OKX, Leo, BNB, you name the token, if they're all declared securities, then that could be really bad. And then you look and you say, okay, well, what about decentralized exchange tokens? What about Uniswap? What about 1inch? What about Balancer? and of course those are decentralized, so it's going to be hard to make the argument that those are securities. But we know ThorSwap is an exchange token, and they just got considered a security by the SEC, or at least in theory, they're going to charge them with that. So it's really, if you look at the exchange tokens, and if they're all considered securities, I think that could be a very bad thing. But then again, you're looking at, it's not like this case is going to be over tomorrow. So it would be down the road a little bit, but that's kind of one sneaky thing that I've been keeping my eye on.
Good point. What do you think about, like, for me personally, I'm a founder of a project, MCRT. We stayed complete, like, our lawyers blocked everything from America, no users from America, no buying from America, nothing to do with them. Like, this is killing innovation. The SEC and they're killing innovation with this. Like, everyone avoids America. Americans can't get into a lot of the projects. What do you think is going to happen with this? Do you think it's just people, they're just going to blacklist America because of all this regulation? Me personally, as a founder, I'm getting my lawyers to do everything they can to meet any of the SEC requirements, but staying away because I don't want any risk. Like, I'm building a game, play to earn game.
Yeah.
I don't want to have like the things that are happening to a lot of the crypto creators in America. What do you think? Do you have any fear about the SEC? What are your thoughts on all this?
No, I don't really fear the SEC. It's not something I think about. I think that ultimately, like, if you do things the right way, then you're not going to get in trouble. And we've always tried to do things the right way. We've disclosed when we did sponsored videos and things like that. But ultimately, I believe that what is going to happen is we're going to get a gigantic change in regulation in the United States over this next year. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a bill in Congress. It should be public later this month. We technically did not talk about it until it goes through. But we believe our bill is going to pass, and I believe our bill is going to change everything. It's basically it's going to create a mechanism, it's going to create a body that's going to be able to make smart crypto regulation that's going to consist of people that understand crypto. Instead of having random senators like Elizabeth Warren that probably uses an abacus instead of a calculator, she's so old, that these people don't need to be making crypto regulation. And what I've learned working with people in Washington a lot is that there really isn't, that's really how they're making all decisions on every industry. They're making decisions, they're not experts in those fields. And so what we're trying to do is bring crypto experts into the field to help make that long-term crypto regulation that'll make sense, that'll lay the groundwork for the next 20 to 30 years. So I'm very hopeful. I'm very confident that our bill is going to pass. And it's going to change things in America, and it's going to finally provide that clarity that Gary Gensler, the most incompetent man in Washington, D.C., could never provide.
Yeah, I'm in Dubai, and I actually work with the UAE government. They're working on incorporating crypto like heavily into the ecosystem. Yeah. Dubai is very forward thinking with this, and they did it amazingly well. We had a crypto blockchain council with the Dubai government, and it was like 3 people from their government high up and 15 crypto experts, like influencers, founders of projects, developers, and they just asked us, what do you guys think should be the regulation? How should we protect the average user or someone who doesn't understand? They were making the laws and the rules based off our opinions, like the people that are experts in the field, and I actually understand what is a blockchain, how does Bitcoin work, what is the whole, like, where exactly as you say, like an older person, most of the senators and stuff that have no idea about this technology shouldn't be creating rules and regulations and laws about this. That's why actually this FTX like crash and everything that happened with FTX, in a way, it's giving ammunition to the American government to like really heavily regulate crypto.
Not really. I disagree. I disagree with that very strongly. There's, and Tom Memmer's been talking about this, there's no better billboard for decentralization than what just happened. Sam was trying to control regulation and make it favor centralized crypto exchanges, and now that idea is toxic. So I actually think I do want to say, yes, regulation is coming for sure, but that doesn't mean it's bad regulation, and that doesn't mean that they're going to target it unfairly. You certainly have people like Elizabeth Warren trying to push these negative bills, but overall, the stage is really set for smart crypto regulation to come in because of what Sam did. And it's, people understand, most people in Washington understand blockchain is coming and they can't stop it. And a lot of them want to see the benefits of the technology. So they're not going to try to shut crypto down or ban crypto. The people saying they're going to ban crypto are your typical crypto haters. They're Sherrod Brown, Brad Sherman, and Elizabeth Warren. These are the three people in our government that are the most against Bitcoin, and they have been for 5 years. It's not like this is a brand new, like a turn of a leaf from these people because of FTX. Most people, they want to find solutions. They want to get things that are smart, and they want to balance financial privacy with accountability. And I don't think that that's a terrible thing. I mean, if it, like, how helpless do you feel in crypto if you get hacked? You got no recourse, right? Well, the government wants to find a way to have some recourse. If there's a $700 million bridge hack, they want to be able to somehow figure out who did it. And I don't think that's a lot to ask. I think that, it's just like anything else in the world. Like they track your license plate everywhere you go. They know where you are with cameras in the United States. Like that's how it works. They've got interstate cameras. I watched a show a long time ago that was about people trying to run away from investigators. And they know your cell phone records. They know it all already. They've got it all. It's not going to come into play unless you're in trouble for something. And you do get down the road and you talk about CBDC and how that can be kind of a scary thing. But I think putting smart regulation around CBDCs will be smart, will be something we can do to kind of fight some of that as well. So I don't think this is, I believe innovation in America in crypto, it still wins. And what we've shown in America is you can get a very large head start on us. Go to Russia and look at the space race. You get a very strong head start. We're smart. We put stuff together. We've got a lot of money. We've got a lot of builders here. We can catch up. So I think this is the year that we do get smart crypto regulation. I'm really excited to see what it's going to look like.
Beautiful. And it's amazing that you're one of the people that is like pushing this through in the government.
Absolutely.
I saw the Coinbase CEO Armstrong.
Yeah, Brian Armstrong, Uncle Brian.
You have the same name. Are you guys related?
That's my Uncle Brian. Yeah, we go to Thanksgiving every year. We're Christmas guys see each other this week.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not really my uncle. It's a joke. It's a meme on the channel. We call him Uncle Brian.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Coinbase and Uncle Brian?
I think they'll generally say whatever they feel like they need to say in whatever environment is currently happening. So when FTX is going well, they're, support FTX. When FTX crashes, Brian Armstrong's, Sam is a criminal. And those are strong statements. I was glad to hear him say that. Mm-hmm. And we were told at first, because, Sam Bankman-Fried was trying to do a federal bit license. That was what started this entire thing, especially between me and him, is he was trying to create a federal bit license, the worst regulation in the history of crypto in New York City or New York State, where you have to have licensure. It's $100,000 consultancy fee. And then however much money you have to have on the books, that's just up to whatever auditor with the state of with the New York Department of Financial Services, whatever they come up with. So it's basically a way to gatekeep and to keep small competitors from being able to play in the sandbox. Sam wanted to crush that. He wanted to destroy that 100% and make it where only the biggest players could win. Well, we were told at first that Brian Armstrong was in support of that. And then we were told that he pushed back against it. So I do think that somewhere, like, Brian Armstrong's a smart businessman. And I do think somewhere in there in his like profit making, like kind of heartless strategy, I do think there is a belief in crypto and there is a belief in decentralization. And so I would say when it comes to Coinbase, like my general opinion is meh. They're not horrible. Obviously, the user experience is great on Coinbase, which is why they've grown. The fees are really high, but you're paying for the convenience. This is where I send people that are new. Like if you're going to start an account, like you want to start at Coinbase and then get more mature and learn and move to other, hot wallets or other exchanges or whatever you might do. But overall, I think Coinbase is good for the space. I think Brian Armstrong is kind of meh. He's just like sometimes he's a little wishy-washy, but hopefully he's going to end up on the right side of history.
And you saved a lot of people. I remember like you're warning everyone about FTX way before the crash, before the whole thing with CZ calling out, like saying he's going to sell the token and the whole like thing. That's how do you feel about helping so many people like get out of? Because I know people personally that lost millions of dollars, their life savings, because it was just on the exchange on FTX and they can't get it out. It's like, how do you feel about saving so many people from this? Feels
great, man. I've got probably 50 messages from people telling me that I saved their entire life savings by warning them to get out. And that's a great feeling. Now we didn't save everybody. We can't save everybody. So some people out there, like, we're the biggest influencer in crypto overall with all of our numbers. And there's a lot of people that are jealous. And there's a lot of people that don't like that. And there's a lot of people out there that will do the opposite of what I say just to do the opposite. So if there are people that said, Bitboy said FTX is bad, I'm going all in on FTX. Well, how'd that work out for you? Probably not so great. And it's really sad to watch how many people have lost money, not just with FTX, but with Celsius and Voyager as well. But, when it comes to, what happened there is like, I just realized that Sam was a really bad person. And that's kind of how things kind of started unfolding. Once again, going back to, I was the first person that found out that he was doing the federal bit license, and we talked about it for a month, and then it comes out that's what he's doing. Then all of a sudden, all of his enemies start emailing me and sending me messages and evidence. And then I realized that they built an entire fake market there. And we didn't do the next step. Like, we realized the market was fake. We realized they were using counterfeiting tokens. They were using paper Bitcoins. Like, we understood all that. We didn't do the next step at first to realize, like, oh, that means when people withdraw real assets, there's an insolvency hole. And that's kind of how things started happening with the insolvency holes is they're counterfeiting tokens. People are pulling real assets, and then they're having to fill those holes with more counterfeit tokens in their liquidity pools that did not exist. We have evidence of them admitting this on video and audio as well. This is not just us, hyperbole. We do know that Sam recently said on a Twitter Spaces that they did it with Bitcoin. We know we've got evidence they did it with other coins as well. So it feels good to be on the early side of that story and pushing it. We're not done yet. We have more chess moves. We filed a lawsuit in the Bahamas just this week. Us and two other entities. We filed a lawsuit against the Bahamas, against FTX digital property or digital FTX property holdings, where what we're trying to do is we are trying to get all of the real estate in the Bahamas and roll that into the bankruptcy because they're trying to hide all the money they embezzled. They embezzled customer funds to buy real estate, and it's not on the bankruptcy. Up to $1 billion, not on the bankruptcy. So anything that customer funds touched, we're trying to, in a sense, claw that back.
And what do you think about him getting bail, like 250 million now? Christmas?
Yeah. Well, Merry Christmas, Sam. He's going to have a Merry Christmas this year, isn't he? I mean, look, I'm not happy about it. That's why we want him to stay in the Bahamas. We fought for him to stay in the Bahamas over this weekend. I was in court with him on Monday. Stared him dead in the eyes. He looked over at his lawyer and said, "Bitboy's here." It's like, yeah, dang right I am. And but we slapped this lawsuit on him, so we still got more chess moves to move there. But I think that with him being out on bail, it's kind of a shame that he's allowed to touch electronics. Because people don't know, he's one of the most notorious hackers ever. Like, he hacked Cover Protocol for $100 million. People don't know that. There's another project someone was showing me some evidence of where, they stole $500 million from another project. We know what they were doing with Samo token, which was a slush fund for them to pay lawyers and settlements and things like that. It was a meme coin that FTX used as basically a bank account in a lot of ways. So there's all kinds of things that he's done digitally that is bad. Now, I'll tell you the one thing people aren't thinking about. I wonder if they're setting him up here. I wonder if they're he's going to do something stupid. Everybody knows that. He's going to do something incredibly stupid over the next few weeks because he's unpredictable. I talked to one of his lawyers extremely close to him. And I said, what do you think is going to happen here? And this was a couple of weeks ago. And he said, he's the most unpredictable person you've ever seen. Like, I can't tell you what he's going to do. Nobody can tell you what he's going to do because he's so unpredictable. And, he doesn't play by the rules. He does what he wants to do. So I tend to think that maybe they've set him up here to get out and do something stupid where they can add more charges.
It's sad what happened for the whole crypto space, though. It's good in a way because it really pushes decentralization. It shows people what crypto was actually made for. So I guess that's a good thing. Like, now people understand, okay, exchanges, because the whole point of crypto was to not have exchanges, was not to have bank accounts. But then we started using exchanges because it was easier. You could then exchange cryptocurrencies. So it was a necessity. But people didn't really, the new people that came in, I think they didn't really actually know what crypto was. They were just coming into the exchange side of things, and it was like kind of like your old Web 2 kind of world in a way, like just buying, selling assets, like you were using a stock exchange or Charles. So I guess it pushed all.
It's our fault. I think it's our fault. I don't think we did a good enough job teaching self-custody in the last bull run. And I think that going forward, we've learned that lesson as influencers and educators in the space. And I think going forward, we're going to do a much better job of making sure people understand self-custody. No, you need to understand this before you do anything else. First step, get a Coinbase, open up, start putting some money on there. Second step, self-custody, period. I think that's what the message I think we're all going to give going forward.
Beautiful. And my team told me that you're writing a book about your experiences in crypto, all of this kind of stuff. When does this come out? What's the name?
Yeah, the name of the book is Catching Up to Crypto. It comes out January 12th. That's the published date. It's available for pre-order right now. We're trying to get our numbers up. We're trying to get on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. I think we're on a good track for it right now. We're going to be very close. We're either going to make it or miss it by 1 or 2 slots. So, if everybody wants to go get it, it's on pre-order. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes and Noble. You get it on Books A Million. If you are international, if you live in Europe, maybe it's not going to ship until like March. So you can check with your local bookstore. They can probably get it a little bit faster. And the whole idea is called Catching Up to Crypto for a reason. Because what we've learned by doing, we have bitlabacademy.com, which is where we have educational resources. We learned our beginner content was way too advanced for beginners. And you'll know this from people coming to your channel. Like if somebody's new and they hear about crypto and they come to your channel, they're lost. Like you're talking very basic on a very low level for crypto people, and they still don't get it. I couldn't do in 60 hours worth of videos the amount of information that I packed into this book for people to basically, if you have not been in this space for 10 years, if you haven't been in this space for 5 years even, this is going to catch you up. We're going to go over what is money, how did digital currency start, who started it, why is Bitcoin important, what were some of the major occurrences over the last several years that led to Bitcoin, going from currency to digital gold. We're going to talk about trading. We're going to talk about what's new, what's coming in the future, talk about Metaverse, talk about NFTs, talk about what the world is going to look like in 50 years in the world of crypto. So it really just covers the gamut. It catches you up, basically. If you're new, this book will catch you up to where you need to be to get you up to speed so you can, become an expert. This book isn't going to make you an expert. It's going to give you the baseline information so you can go on and do whatever in crypto interests you.
That's very important. I made a course, a crypto master course, because of this same reason, like 2 years ago. Because for us, we talk about crypto, self-custody, seed phrases, Bitcoin, blockchain, and it's like, okay, we understand. We've been following it since I also got in around 2012, so it's almost 10 years of understanding the whole thing that's been forming. But if you're new, it's actually very, very complicated. That's the good thing about exchanges in the way, like you say, first go to Coinbase, because like someone that doesn't understand this technology, that could be quite dangerous for them to get in with just, they'll lose a lot of money usually in the beginning. I mean, that's how a lot of us learned in the beginning as well. You had to have Mt. Gox, you had to have these crashes. The people that lost money in FTX, that's the good thing, is it's bad, but at the same time, if you use it as a learning, like understanding that this is like learnings for you for your future, it's not such a bad thing. I mean,
I think it's a really great thing, because I think it's really shown us like we need, and this is the tangent that I've been on lately. We've got to remove the traditional finance people from crypto. We have to remove them from crypto. The people that want to turn crypto into traditional finance, that's what Sam Bankman-Fried wanted. That's what Kevin O'Leary wants. That's what Jim Cramer wants. That's what Gary Gensler wants. We've got to remove these people from crypto because they don't have your best interest at heart. They want you as a retail investor to lose. And I think that's a really good thing about FTX, is they were just preying on retail investors, and they're gone now, and they're bad actors. When people sit here and they say, oh, we want all these, the big institutions in crypto and yada, yada, yada. Well, this is what you get when you invite that stuff in. So I think that's really helped galvanize the community to reject these people that come in that want to turn in traditional finance.
Yeah, and the whole point of crypto is to escape this like slavery system that's been around for so long, and then to push it back into this, like to take crypto and turn it back into its terrible thing. So yeah, exactly. Good thing. What do you think about Binance? Do you think there's any danger of Binance going under, or what's your
look? At this point, anything's possible. So like, I'm not going to sit here and look. Here's the message: if you got money on Binance, take it off. If you got money on Crypto.com, take it off. If you got money on Bitfinex, take it off. Like, you should not, unless you are. The only exception to that rule is if you are a trader and you need your trading liquidity. It's got to sit right now on a centralized exchange. There is a big decentralized margin trading site that's coming that a lot of people are going to be excited about. But I think when it comes to centralized exchanges and liquidity, they're a necessary evil at this point. So if you're trading, yes, you do have to make use of centralized exchanges. If not, get your money off. So I want to say that message first. Specifically when it comes to Binance, I'm telling you get your money off, but I'm also telling you I think Binance is probably fine. I think they're solvent. I think they have one-to-one assets. I actually believe that they have more than one-to-one assets, and I think that's why they don't want their books totally open. Is I think Binance has even more money than they're supposed to have. I've been saying that for a while. I don't know if that's. I think Tether fits that as well. I think Tether's got more money than they're supposed to have too. I don't think a bank run on Tether would do anything, because I think they would just sell some yachts and some real estate that they got in some other parts of the world and get liquid again. So I tend to think Binance and Tether are very similar companies. They're forced into the world of shadow banking at some point, forced offshore, and that caused them maybe to make some not great decisions in the short term. That, you know, I don't know, money laundering, especially with Tether potential. I think that probably definitely happened. I'm not going to accuse Binance of that, but I think they got more assets. I think that's what the problem is. I don't think there's look. We had a $3.2 billion bank run on Binance last week. It did nothing. Yeah. It was a blip on the radar to them. And I think that should tell people a lot about what they need to know.
Yeah, exactly. If they can survive a bank run, it's amazing, like showing the strength. And I agree with you. I think Binance, like I've been saying this for a while, I think CZ is actually the richest person in the world, and Binance is the.
I agree.
Like they've been in the space for a long time. We know how much they were the go-to exchange. Like Coinbase and Kraken, all these other ones, they were the ones we were using in the beginning, but really Binance took over and really dominated the market. I think they had I think it was 80% share of all crypto volume. So
yeah,
they've been raking it in, especially this last bull market. And they weren't spending like crazy. Like CZ said, we're not going to fund stadiums. Da, 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 da. Now, yeah, that was very smart of them.
Looks smart.
Mm-hmm. And if Binance went down, I think that would be a big, that would be one of the black swans that would take the crypto markets down.
We won't have a new all-time high for 8 to 10 years if Binance goes down.
Binance
we'll be in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm. And they're making too much. Like there was some interviews that I watched with CZ. They were asking how much volume did Binance make like last year and this year. He said it was $37 trillion. Last year's volume and this year's volume on track to do the same, but now it's probably dropped off after FTX.
Yeah,
but 37 trillion, that's incredible.
That is absolutely insane. I mean, that's so much money. And it's funny, like when I look at my trading accounts and I look at volume across all of our exchanges that we're partners with, you know, like just seeing that, like, I think all time, like I've got like $10 billion worth of volume that's ran through, you know, Bybit or Femex or BitGet, a lot of those. And it's like, it's really amazing to look at how much people are out there trading. And right now the trading volume is very low. You know, we've been around 25 billion daily for the last couple of days. But overall, you know, I think this is a good time for people to get in and learn how to trade because if you can trade in this environment and be successful, when a true bull market happens, or you do have another huge like meat of the move to the downside bear market, then you'll do very well during those times.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the volumes have dropped off quite a lot, but yeah, exactly. Like now is the hardest time. So it's like good for learning, good for understanding. Yep. And I mean, it's never like anyone that started trading in November last year or like at the top, that was now they got entering here and starting to learn here. Maybe it goes down more, but it's in a better position than being at the top of the bull market.
Absolutely.
What
100%.
What projects do you like? What are you long-term DCAing into? What do you think is going to be dominating the markets in the long term? What's your kind of favorites? Not financial advice, but just like
yeah, I mean, we're big on Cardano. I believe Cardano is eventually going to pass Ethereum. I think Ethereum's 2.0 roadmap is way too slow. I think it's probably going to be 10 years for 2.0 is done. You know, it was supposed to be completely finished now, and they've only got the first phase out of 5 done. So I think it's going to be a long time, but I do still love Ethereum. I think Ethereum is going to pass Bitcoin in market cap probably during the next bull run. I think we are going to see a flipping. But I think in 8 years, I think Cardano passes Ethereum. Obviously, love Polygon, right? Love Matic. The fact a layer 2, Arbitrum and Optimism, two kind of like, you know, competitors there as well. But I do think that Polygon's by far and away the top layer 2. I like Sandbox. I think Sandbox has a lot of potential going forward when the game fully launches, which I think is the next time it's playable. I think the game fully launches. We've got a lot of land on Sandbox. We got really cool. We got some really cool games in our digital city that we call it. We've got big property. We got, you know, a 12 by 12 there in Sandbox. XRP. I think XRP is going to be adopted by the banks around the world. I don't think there's a doubt about it at this point. They've reshuffled their products. So this idea that you can use the products of Ripple and not use XRP, like that's dead with on-demand liquidity. You do have to settle with XRP token. So I think Ripple has fixed some of that stuff. I think as soon as that lawsuit is done, I think it's going to skyrocket to the moon as well. A new project, not new, but a project that is new to me that I love is ICP. FTX destroyed. People have to understand, FTX attempted to literally destroy ICP when it launched. Everything that people think about ICP that's negative, it came from FTX trying to destroy them. and with their propaganda arm, and then what they did with synthetic assets on the site. So ICP is a very interesting one to me. That's one that I'm really looking to accumulate during this bull run. It went down an unnatural amount because of what FTX did. So I think it's in a great spot. I think it's hovering around $4, somewhere around there. And I think it's got potential to go very high in the next bull run. It may not make a new all-time high because the all-time high was artificial, because what happened is FTX put synthetic perpetual futures contracts of ICP on their site 4 days before spot trading. Anywhere, not just on that site, before it spot traded anywhere. 4 days before it launched, they had synthetic assets. And so what they were doing is they were pumping that price up to an unsustainable amount. ICP went up to like $700. It probably won't go to $700 in the next bull run. It's sitting at like $4 right now, but it definitely has potential to get back up to, to three figures, get in the $100 to $200 range. And, that'd be a big come up.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about the whole metaverse, Web 2, Web 3 kind of? This is where I'm heavy in at the moment because of Magic.
Yeah.
What do you think about this space? Like, do you think it was a bubble? Do you think it's coming back? What are your opinions on?
Well, yeah, it's just like crypto is a bubble. Yeah, of course. I mean, it was a bubble. NFTs were a bubble. Metaverse was a bubble. Crypto was a bubble. It popped, and now we're weeding out a lot of bad stuff in the space. Look, where it comes to games, like everybody thought, like, Gala Games was the next, whatever, it was the next Xbox or whatever. It's not, right? They don't have great games. Their games are copies of other games. And I think it was just a lot of people getting in with hype and making a lot of money. I'm very bullish on blockchain gaming. I just think it's a little bit further off than a lot of people think. But we're starting to get some really good games that have really good development and play well like console games. But yeah, it was definitely a bubble, and it's popped. And now the real winners are going to start coming out. And it's just the same thing with crypto. So I'm very bullish on it. I like Web3. I think it is the future. But I also said 5 years ago, crypto is the future and adoption would be here in 5 years. And now we're 5 years later. And I think now it's probably 10 to 15 years away. So this doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. It's going to be slow, just like crypto. And if you look at the cycles, like, if crypto is going to get adopted, full adoption in 10 years from now, then probably Web3 gets adopted a little bit later than that, So I'm not here with a crystal ball to tell everybody exactly when things are going to are going to get adopted, but I do believe Web3 is coming. But yeah, it definitely popped at some point.
And how is it dealing with the like the bill Congress? Like, how is it in DC? What could you because not many people would have this insight, even know what this kind of what's going on there. What is it like there?
Yeah, well, I'm basically we have Republicans and Democrats in the United States. We don't have third parties really. We have people that are conservative and people that are liberal. I'm very conservative. I've always been very conservative. And so for me, getting in the sandbox of politics and having to learn to play bipartisan, and we have the person who outed Sam Bankman-Fried as the trying to create the federal bit license was our top Democratic liberal supporter for our bill. So like I'm learning, like there's a lot of these labels that we put on people, and they're just regular people too, and they have viewpoints and opinions on things, but there's people from both sides of the aisle that are very good, people from both sides of the aisle that are very bad. And I think that learning to really live in this world of politics of trying to get things done and working together is a lot harder than people think that it is, but it is possible. And I will tell you, I talked to a big politician over the weekend, and they told me that the only area in the next 2 years in the United States where they expect to get stuff done is in the crypto regulation area, because the only thing that's bipartisan that the Democrats and Republicans can get some agreement on. So the Democrats had really over the past several years rejected crypto. Republicans were much more favorable towards it. I mean, if you look at the top 3 anti-crypto people in the United States government, they're all Democrats. But in general, the Democratic Party has realized that was a big mistake, and they need to come back to digital currency because it lines up with a lot of their ideals of, equality, equality of opportunity. When you look at, giving out government handouts and spending programs, it's a much faster way to do that. It's more efficient. So I think there is a lot of things there for both parties. Obviously, with the Republican Party, it's about capitalism, innovation. These are things that line up with crypto. So I think it's been very interesting, been very eye-opening for me. And I don't know, we'll see. I'm maybe throwing out, maybe I might run in the next 4 to 8 years or something. We'll see what happens. But I won't give up my show. That's my agreement I'll make.
Oh, nice. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I would vote for you automatically because I have this theory that I think we should, or maybe you can push it in DC. There should be no politician over the age of 50. That's my
Yeah.
recommendation. Like this, like Alzheimer's patients and dinosaurs and stuff making rules and regulations is like crazy to me. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel that's why we have this whole like potential World War III. It's because dinosaurs that were around back in World War II are still running running the things. And I think if we make like no one over 50 years old can run in politics, I think we'd have a world
Well,
that.
I don't know. I don't know if it's as much about age as much about career politicians. You know, you don't want somebody that's been a politician for 20 years. I mean, that's, what have you really got done in 20 years? If you can name a politician that's been in office for 20 years and you can't pick out the notable thing that they're known for, then that's a fail. And I think most politicians fit that bill.
I think like as you said, like crypto is a great way for the Democratic Party to like balance and kind of distribute money or UBI systems. I think that's I actually understood. I'm building play to earn game Magicraft, and I understood that that's what I'm actually building in the longer term time frame. Like
Yeah.
people right now, you can play the game and you can win 3,000 MCRT per day. For example, we have 40 games per day, and I realized that this is the future of like UBI systems. So be through crypto, you play a game and you can actually earn money. And I see that coming very strongly, especially like you see this in Texas. They released the McDonald's that's fully automated. So
I saw that. Yeah.
so now when bear markets come, like crypto, you can't go even work at McDonald's anymore
Oh
because
man, that's bad.
I think with Tesla semi trucks, Tesla 30% of all jobs is actually transportation. So
Yep.
we really very quickly need these UBI systems coming. I think crypto is the only way, like realistically, you could distribute money to a lot of people consistently and actually control it. And I think that's what crypto is gonna be a big part of. And I also see that like our parents' generation is getting to the age of really retirement now, or needing
Yeah.
retirement homes and stuff like this. So I feel that a lot of wealth transfer is going to come to our generation now to be able to pay for them to go to retirement houses and support their medical bills and all these kind of like soon all these older generation are going to need our assistance. And I think that's what crypto is also going to be bringing, like a lot of wealth transfer to the new generation to be able to fund all this older generation. What do you think the future of crypto is going to be like? What do you see coming up? Anything that you see that could be like world changing because of crypto? Do you think we're
Well,
going to
first,
have?
yeah, first, I mean, I like to say I agree with everything you just said. I think I've been talking about this for a long time. Like, I, being a conservative, we shouldn't be for UBI. UBI sounds like a liberal policy. It's where people, don't really have to do anything and they make money. Well, the problem is where things that like kind of go above political lines. Like, what are people going to be doing in 50 years? You're going to have everything automated. You're going to have everything AI. You're going to have robotic everything. You're not going to be able to drive. Like, being able to manually drive a car in 50 years will be against the law, right? So there's going to be, and they say, well, you need people to manage the trucks that are good. Yeah, sure. You need to be able to manage the trucks, but like, what's that? One person for every 10, jobs right now. So I think there's a lot of stuff going there that I think universal basic income is going to touch. I believe the majority of the world's economy is going to be video games. I know it's crazy for people to I'm not a gamer myself. I play with my kid. He's got a YouTube channel, so we play some sports games on there and stuff like that. But outside of that, I think you're onto something here. I think you're dead on when it comes to trying to come up with some of these play to earn things for people. And in 50 years, this is what the world's going to look like. I think just the interesting thing that I would say for people to watch out for are storage coins. This is something we're going to be very focused on in the next bull run. I'll just kind of explain. What's that?
Filecoin?
Filecoin, Arweave, storage, like the Internext. I think that here's the thing: what people have to realize. So we have, as I mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of land on Sandbox. We built out, and I think our land on Sandbox, we've been building there for 2.5 years. I think it's going to be the best land in Sandbox. We've got a really cool game for people to play. We've got Bitboy characters. We've got like a lot of really cool stuff going on over there. So we've got a guy who has been building this for us for 2.5 years. And I reached out to our guy that manages it. I said, he's in Australia actually. And I said, hey, Craig, how can I go into the land? How can I see the builder? He said, nah, mate, you can't. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you don't have a computer big enough. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like the computer the guy has to have to go in and build is so advanced and uses so much storage and so much bandwidth that it's insane. Me as a regular user on my desktop Mac right here, it's not sophisticated enough for me to go into the world because that's how complex it is. So I think, looking at that bandwidth, how we're going to use unused bandwidth across the world to be able to get people into these builders to create these metaverses. That's why I think metaverse true adoption is a ways down the road. I think Sandbox with the pixel aspect, I think it's much easier to get things built there, kind of like Minecraft. But overall, we're going to be in a big deficit of computer power over the next 4 to 8 years.
Interesting. Yeah, we had a because Magicraft now is released on PC. We just released yesterday, but we've mainly been focusing on iOS and Android because that's the most devices.
Right.
And we spend a lot of time working with the shading technology to be able to actually have multiple players on a phone. Our game is actually one of the first real PvP where you have mass PvP battles, and that was one of the biggest things. Trying to get because the hardware wasn't the games that were on mobile phone before were very basic, bubble games, things like this. So to have really computer-based games, interesting. Nice. So your book's coming out on January 12th, you said?
Yep.
Nice. And did you write the book?
Yeah. So I wrote the book, and we're excited to see it. It's going to be a lot from my perspective, and we have a team that helped us with it internally here at Bitboy Crypto. I mean, I do have a lot of writers, and they all chipped in. But ultimately we got the finished product out, and we're really, really, really excited about it.
Nice. And what made you how long ago did you have the idea to write the book? How long did the idea take?
Well, Wiley Publishing contacted me. And so Wiley Publishing is also the publisher of the #1 crypto book of all time, which is the Bitcoin Standard. So we're aiming to become the Bitcoin Standard for crypto, I guess is a good way to say it, because all the top books, if you think of all the top crypto books, they're all Bitcoin books, right? Bitcoin Standard, Digital Gold, Bitcoin Billionaires, Internet of Money, things like that. Outside of Mastering Ethereum from Andreas Antonopoulos, there's really not a big altcoin book that people would look at and say this encompasses all of crypto. Because the Bitcoin people are very anti-crypto, they're anti-blockchain, they're only pro-Bitcoin. So we wanted to do something for the rest of us, for those of us that we're not early into Bitcoin, and that's all we need. We need to make use of other coins to be able to get where we want to go. And I believe in the future of a decentralized internet and layer 1 protocols and things like that, play to earn gaming as well. So they contacted me and they said, look, we're the publisher of the Bitcoin Standard. We think you've got a great audience. We think you're very smart. We think you've got a lot to say. Would you like to write a book? And I was like, yeah, I would love to write a book. I want to write a biography. And they were like, well, no, you can't really do a biography because, you got to publish 2 books, get 2 successful ones, then maybe you can do a biography, because I got a pretty interesting story. And so I was like, okay, well, then what do we want to do it on? So our team, we sat for 2 months trying to figure out what we wanted to do the book on. And it just, over that time, it became very obvious what it needed to be. We just realized there's a big gap in between people that come, people that are new to crypto and what we consider beginners. And we just tried to fill that gap. And so that was kind of how it came about. We didn't do this on a whim. We really spent a lot of time. I didn't want to write a book because I've got an audience. I wanted to write a book that was going to speak to people and was going to be able to help the space. So that's kind of how we came up with the idea. And, like I said, what's kind of cool is we were just throwing out ideas for titles and came up with this idea catching up to crypto. And it was actually kind of out of the title that the idea from the book came. And, we were just playing around with kind of things that sounded cool. And that was holy crap, this is it. This is the book the crypto needs. It is the book the crypto needs. And so, like I said, we're just super excited about it. Can't wait to see how it sells. I mean, it's been selling. I think we've already sold almost 10,000 books altogether. A lot of that's wholesale orders. But really excited to see where we're going to land on the bestseller list.
Beautiful. I hope you go to the New York Times bestseller, to the top.
Thank you.
And a lot of people lost money during the lunar crash, FTX crash. The markets are decimated, stock markets are decimated because of what the Fed's decision and stuff. What would you tell people that are maybe having a hard time going to Christmas after all these crashes? They're disheartened about crypto. They say it's back to 2017 when everyone's calling crypto a scam again. What would your recommendations or words of wisdom would be to them?
Yeah, the words of wisdom would be look at those of us who have been through this before. Whatever you're going through now, I went through it twice. I made a lot of money in crypto and I lost it all twice, right? The third time I finally figured out how to keep it, right? Now we're down like everybody else is down, but I mean, we're overall, we're still, doing pretty well. And I think when you look at those steady hands, the people that have been in crypto for a while, look to them for advice, look to them for, for confidence, look to them for consistency. And also pay attention during this time to the people that are not consistent. The people that, wow, they're making crypto videos every day, or they're tweeting every day, but now the crypto's down, they're gone.
Mhm.
These are grifters. These are people that come in, they're here for a couple weeks, or when things are popular. Look at all these financial YouTubers. The financial YouTubers, crypto is all they talked about in the last 2 years, and guess what they're not talking about now? Unless it's talking about a crash, they're not talking about crypto, because they're not crypto people. Find people in the space that are real, true crypto believers and stick with them, and you'll be okay.
Beautiful advice. It was awesome talking to you, Ben, and I'm so thankful. I wasn't in FTX, luckily. Like, my audience was in FTX. I used Bybit and Binance a lot of the time, so I was actually partnered with them, and I know the founders. I've talked to CZ, I've talked to Ben from Bybit, so I was confident with them. But you saved a lot of people, especially like a lot of people got burned, and if a lot of people listened to your warnings and got out. So
thank you.
Good job with this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And as you said before, I feel like the influencers or the people that are like leading people or teaching, it's really a big responsibility for us to kind of guide crypto. No, I don't like anyone coming up and being like a poster boy for crypto, because like Michael Saylor, Sam Bankman, I feel that because that's like against what crypto actually is in a way. It's like the whole point is there's no founder, there's no CEO of Bitcoin, there's no founder of Bitcoin. But it is up to us in a way to like just help people, warn them, steer them in the right direction. So good job with this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I understand that responsibility and the accountability that comes along with that. Obviously we've got a lot of followers and a lot of subscribers, and it's something we take very seriously to shepherd them the right way.
Well, one more question. You have a lot of, like, me too as well, a lot of people that thank me and love me and like, thank you so much for showing me this world and teaching me and helping me make money. And then you have the handful that are haters, like really strong.
Yeah. They're all on Reddit.
And comments, like quite a lot of. How do you deal with them, and what would you say to them?
Yeah. What I would say to them is just let go of the hate in your heart. I think that in reality, I don't think there's anybody in crypto that gets more hate than me. And, if you go to Reddit, it's literally like 99% of the people on Reddit hate me. Everywhere else is about 50-50 probably. But I think on YouTube or on Twitter last time I saw a poll, it was like 55 people, 55% like me, 45% don't like me, whatever. The fact is we've gotten to a point in crypto where, if you don't have an opinion on what my opinions are, then you need to get some. And because that's really how it is. Like, people know my opinions on things and they make videos about them, and I'll be it's weird to be going on Twitter or YouTube and find like just random videos that people make about you, and I get a lot of that. And I think ultimately this is what it boils down to. I look a lot at the 5 stages of grief. I always forget one of the stages here, but when you look at the 5 stages of grief, what you'll find is that, it applies to social media as well, because what a lot of people will do is a lot of people will reach out to me and they will say like, okay, I'm suicidal. I have people all the time that message me that are influencers are like, I'm suicidal. I can't handle all this hate. Like, how do you handle it? And I just look at like those 5 stages of grief and I say like, okay, you've got to move from one stage to the next when it comes to social media hate. First, you have denial, right? It's like, okay, well, they're saying this about me, but they don't really know me. Like, over time, they're going to figure out that, like, I'm not this person. That doesn't work. Then you get angry and you're like, okay, when people attack me, like, I want to attack back. Like, I want to claw back at them. I want to shoot arrows at them. I want to hurt them. I want them to feel the way I feel. Then you move on to negotiating, right? Like, or bargaining with God, they call it. It's like, okay, well, if I change this part of my content, then they won't hate me, right? Well, that doesn't work either, because you change this, and it's a catch-22 problem, because whatever the thing you're doing that you're getting hate for, if you change that to the opposite, now you're going to have other people that hate you for doing the opposite. And then you're going to look wishy-washy. So then you move on to depression. You're just like, everybody hates me. I guess I just got to deal with it. It's sad. And then you finally just move to acceptance, which is like, okay, I just accept that there are people out there that don't like me. Like, there's not a comment somebody can make on social media that hurts my feelings. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. I've gone so far above that. Now, look, I certainly will fire back at people sometimes, because that's just my personality. Like, I've got a chip on my shoulder. This is not to say that like I won't get on social media, or especially if if it's live, if somebody riles me up on a stage. I mean, people saw I yelled at, got into it with somebody a while back ago. Pump last year, probably the peak of the bull run, we got into it pretty bad. I got emotional. I mean, trying to work better on keeping my emotions in check on that stuff. But I can certainly get riled up. But overall, just in terms of social media hate, like I just deal with it and it is what it is. And you know what? I'm thankful for everybody who hates me, because those are people that have opinions about me, and that means that I matter. I matter to them. So that's just the only way to look at it. And if you're a person who is a social media influencer, or you have an account and you're getting hate and it's bothering you, like some people get one or two comments and it just kills them inside. Is like, you got to move from one of these stages to the next. And if you get stuck in one for too long, that's when you'll really get in trouble. So you just got to try to move from denial all the way to acceptance, and you'll be okay.
Nice advice. Beautiful. Yeah, I remember the first, like, back in 2021 when we had this June crash. It was like when everyone went from love me, and then I started getting all these hate comments.
Yep.
And then the market rebounded again. We went to that all-time high, and then I got all these like love comments again. But I
Yeah.
remember those first negative comments were like, oh, that was brutal. But now I actually understand, like, so attention is energy. And if they're like giving you attention, whether it's like good comments and good feedback or negative comments, it's still energy, they're giving you attention, giving you energy.
You
And
matter. You matter to them.
Mhm. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Ben. It was awesome talking to you. I'd love to have
Awesome. Thanks.
you on the channel, and I wish you an amazing New Year's, amazing Christmas, and the best of luck with becoming #1 best-selling.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Talk to you again soon.
Thanks. Absolutely. Cool.
But I need to try to stop the recording. Okay.